Hi, this video is part of my complete Docker and Kubernetes course. The link is in the description of the video, so make sure to give a thumbs up, and if you don't want to miss any updates, subscribe to the channel. That being said, let's get started. Hello and welcome back. Let's now implement a new network where we will connect our reverse proxy with both existing services notebooks and nodes. We can create a new network at the top level here by just informing networks, and let's just define this nodes app. And now we can connect the Nginx container here to the nodes app network. So networks, and then we'll just say nodes-app like so. The question is, how do we actually connect the existing services here? So if we were to open a compose.yaml, in this compose.yaml, there is really no nodes app here defined in our networks. How can we actually pass these values back to this compose so that we connect this node service to both the nodes net and the nodes app net? Let's change the nodes app here a little bit to be nodes app net, like so that we know this is the network, just for the sake of consistency. And I understand it's a little bit confusing with the nodes backend and the nodes app here, the nodes app network, but please bear with me. The naming could be a little bit better, but I hope it's clear. The way for us to actually pass an additional piece of configuration from the beginning or from this root compose.yaml is to actually create something called an override file. So we'll say compose.override.yaml, and the name is important because compose looks for this file here to also override some of the information from the individual included compose files. In this compose.override.yaml, we can actually define several pieces of information here. So services, we can then reference both our notebooks service as well as our nodes service. And then here we can define several pieces of information that we either wish to merge with the original compose files or that we wish to override completely. If the properties are arrays, then these arrays by default will get merged with the original arrays. So here we just need to define the new network we also wish to connect to. Let's copy this, let's paste it here. And the same thing for our nodes service. So we also wish to connect to the nodes app net. And that's pretty much everything we need to do. So now we will have both our notebooks service connected to the nodes app net and reachable by name of service from this network, as well as the node service connected to the same network and reachable by name from the network. This does not make the nodes database and the notebooks database available from this new network. Pay attention that this network is only adding, or we are only connecting the notebook service and the nodes service. If we look at the compose.yaml, the nodes database is included to the nodes net. That means that the nodes service can reach out to the nodes database. However, the reverse proxy cannot directly connect to the nodes database by using its name. This is intended, and it provides a layer of isolation between our reverse proxy and the database itself. That's great. So we have created this compose.override, and we can then add new values here to be added to the networks of our containers. We can also define more environment variables if we wish to do so, or we can also map other ports. If we wish to completely replace the networks array here, not just merge them, but just completely replace the one that's coming from notebooks and then use only this one, then we should use the !override flag. This is normally useful when we are remapping ports and we don't wish to keep the original ports because they would, for example, conflict. Let's say that we had here in this one 3000 and in this one here in the notebooks also 3000, and we were to include both in this compose.yaml project here in the root project and then try to start this up, they would conflict, and we could then, for example, completely override the port mapping by using this tag here. We're not going to do this here, so let's just remove it, but it is a utility that is there in case you need to use it. All the available tags are documented in the merge page here. So under the compose file of our documentation, we can then find them documented in the merge option. For now, let's keep it simple and let's see if this configuration is enough for our reverse proxy to start up successfully. In our terminal, let's run docker compose up and let's rebuild all our images just for the sake of completeness, and let's also start watch mode. We will get a bunch of logs and let's then split our terminal and inspect what was created. In the same folder where we have created our compose project, we can then run docker compose ps, and we can now confirm that our reverse proxy container is successfully up and running. If we were to try to send a call request to localhost port 8080, and remember here we have defined the /API/notebooks path to be one of the paths redirected by our proxy, we will get a message back here, but this is actually coming from our Express application. This is simply because we have not defined a /API/notebooks route in our application. Our application is just /notebooks. So let's go back to the IDE and change that in both the notebooks and the notes application. Let's change the route here to /API/notebooks like so. And let's then do the same here for our notes backend source, and that's going to be /API/notes, just notes, not notebooks. Let's then save this here, come back to the terminal. We can confirm that both the services were restarted by nodemon here. The changes were identified and the services were restarted. And now when we try to curl this, we actually get our response back. Isn't this amazing? We were able to bring two individual compose projects together in a bigger third compose project, which is then leveraging the services that were already created for us. This will also work with the notes endpoint, and there are no surprises here. This localhost 8080 is just a proxy that is really redirecting the request to upstream services dependent on the path. This is a very common pattern when we are in a microservices world where we have different services available, and then we have a single entry point here that is gonna know how to redirect the requests based on multiple URL paths or configuration options. That's amazing. So we were able to bring everything together and make our reverse proxy work as expected. Let's close this terminal here. Let's stop our running project. We can also take this compose project down if you wish to clean up all the resources, or you can leave it existing in case you will continue with the course right away. I'm just going to take it down and delete all the volumes here, so you can see that there are many different components that are now managed with a single project and with very intuitive commands. Awesome, this is a great moment for us to take a short break and come back in the next lecture.